You look nice.
Oh.
Okay, so my first question is, how long have you been teaching? So
This is my 13th year. I actually did 1 year. My first year of teaching was a long-term sub position in Barker at Barker High School, which is where I did my student teaching. So that's really nice. You can make a great first impression with your student teachers or with the people you're student teaching with, because I was able to get a job when they had one that opened up. But it was only for 1 year, and then after that I ended up here. So I've been here ever since. So,
wow,
yeah.
that's great. Okay, so as you know, this is about homework. So over the years, what have you learned about homework and assigning homework?
I think what I've learned the most is that it really has to be meaningful. I think when I first started teaching, it was just homework every night, just for the sake of doing it. And I really had to take a step back and think about, what is the reason for this homework? What am I trying to accomplish? It's almost like you need to create, I don't want to say a lesson plan for the homework, but you need to actually make sure you know where the purpose is and where it's going. And I think in the beginning when I first started teaching, I thought, oh, other teachers, if I don't give homework, other teachers are going to think I'm the easy teacher, or the kids are going to think I'm the teacher that, and I guess I just was trying to prove a point in the beginning, but then after I really had to think about, okay, what am I teaching? Why would the homework be relevant? What's the nature of it? So,
right.
And then I've noticed with different age levels, I've had to rearrange my thinking. With seniors, they have jobs, they have sports, and I try to keep that into consideration where, yes, homework does need to be important, but I think I've just modified it a lot so that, not make it easier for them, but just make it more substantial for them so that it matters more. Right. I wouldn't give it as often, but I would make sure what I did give them was necessary and was really doing what I was supposed to do.
Okay, that's good.
Sorry, very
I like
long.
that. No, it's fine.
It's a loaded question. So
It
depends
is.
on the grade level, depends on the age. I think you can start, once you realize kids just have the capacity to do it, and that they're actually, as long as they're actively learning and being an active participant in the class, sometimes I feel like the homework's just a little redundant. Once they're seniors in high school, I know they're capable of doing homework, I know, but just fighting them to do it, sometimes it just isn't worth the battle. So we tend to do more in class, as long as I could see that they were.
That's what their students were saying. They were like, it's just I'm like, by now you already know what to do with it, so what is the point?
Right. So if they're making the connections and they're doing everything in class, it's like, do I really need to give this other homework assignment? So
to do the same thing over
With
again.
Seniors, I would tend to give them more long-term things, here, here's this essay, you have 2 weeks to do it, so they can kind of pick and choose. Because that's what they have to do in college. They're not going to get homework do this little writing assignment every single night. They're going to get, hey, you have a paper due in a month. You have
stretches your brain out pretty much.
Right. So I think it just changes, it evolves as they get older. So.
All right, that's good. I like that. How do your students get around homework that you have noticed?
As far as a lot of them, they just
make excuses.
They make tons of. I'll be honest with you. Lately, I haven't gotten a lot of excuses. It's just, nope, I didn't do it. Just no. Oh, I'm so sorry. No. I'm seeing a shift, and again, I have 10th graders this year, so it could just be the age, but, you've noticed those two students.
Right, from the first day.
And it's, after I had that talk with them, they had another homework assignment, and I'm like, did you do it? And he said, yeah, no. And it started laughing about it. And it's like,
wow.
What are you doing? And it's just, I just didn't do it. That's the excuse I get. There's no, every now and then I'll get a kid. I had a student who came in yesterday, and he was absent the day before, and he didn't have the sheet, and he was going to make one on his own, but he forgot what the sheet looked like. So, but he came in before class started and got it done before class. So I have those kids, that'll still do everything possible to make sure that they're getting things done and on time, but so they might be making an excuse, but then they're making good on it right away, where I've just got kids that are like, no, that didn't do it, don't care.
So I'm pretty sure that makes, your time a little.
Well, it makes it difficult because then I have to start the paper trail. I have to call parents. I have to make sure that they know. Especially we have 5-week reports coming out this week, and I have to make sure. Yeah, tomorrow. Oh my goodness. So I have to make sure that that comment gets put on there. Of course, their grade is not good. They're not doing their homework, so their grades right now are in the 40s and 50s, which would be in the 80s and 90s if they would have just turned in that piece of paper. So,
wow.
So it's tough.
Yeah. So see, that's like where I'm on the fence about homework, is that, homework, which was my next question, do you find that you're, helping them or hindering them? Because when they don't do their homework and they may just actually know what they're doing, they ace their test. Like the one kid didn't do the reading and got an 80 on this quiz.
And it's like,
So, but now this homework is lowering their grade, even though they know the material.
They're keeping up. And it's a tricky thing because, like I said, it just depends on what, like with this, they're doing a lot of reading at homework too. So I feel like I need that piece of paper so that I can see that they actually read. Like this is to prove to me that they read. But that's not stopping them from copying their friends during first period study hall. Or, there's a lot of, which, copying I can pick up pretty quickly now. But yeah, they'll find a way around anything to not do work. And it definitely makes it difficult. Like even with these outlines I'm having them do with the reading, originally I was going to have them do one every night. Like they have to read 15 pages and do this sheet so that they prove it. But even throughout the unit, I found myself saying, you know what, don't do the sheet tonight, just read. We'll talk about it in class tomorrow. And, sometimes I feel like maybe it's a little bit of an overkill to do something every single night, with this. And then I switch it up throughout the year. Like with this particular novel, they're doing the homework every night, but with the next, the next thing we're doing is a play, so we're going to be doing a lot of the reading in class.
I wish I could be here for that.
I can't wait. So we're 12 Angry Men, so I might have them do take-home questions then, because we did all of the reading in class, but we didn't get a chance to discuss. So, here are your opinions, or state, answer these questions just to make sure that they're understanding what we're reading in class. So it's a tricky thing. It really is. You see, during this conversation, a lot of my questions are being answered.
Yeah, answered a little bit, touched on. So I'm guess I'm gonna keep going. Okay. So I guess we pretty much touched on what are your methods with homework, as class time or like homework passes at all. Do you believe in that?
Homework passes with my kids. It's what I do allow them to do is if they don't turn in something, it goes in my grade book as a 0, but they can turn in things for half credit. I usually tell them like a 1 to 2 day window, but if the kid comes to me a week later and he has something, I'm not going to not take it because I want them to be able to succeed. I don't want it to be like, oh, no way, you failed, you're done. If they're actually showing me that they're putting in the effort, I'll give them half credit for an assignment. But I try to stay pretty strict with them because when they're juniors and seniors, many of the junior and senior teachers across the board don't have any. They have very strict
leniency.
Homework. Yeah, they have very strict. So I want to kind of get them to that point so that when next year it's not just like the rug was pulled out from under them, and they know that the expectations will be.
So then you look at your homework and you're assigning it as sort of like a lesson in itself, besides the lesson that it's already teaching.
Because it's
getting them set up.
It's doing the work, but also getting it in on time. That whole accountability, responsibility thing. Because once they get up to the higher grades, it's like, if you don't do something, it's
you can't baby them forever.
Right, and especially when they get into college, a lot of college. Some professors might, but some, across the board, usually it's you got to get it in, you got to get it in.
So. I know.
Yeah,
I just cried my eyes out. Oh, where you have to go?
Sorry.
Okay.
Is that enough? Would that be better? Do you want
one more thing is when you collect homework. No, we already have that. Okay. So my last thing is, what do you think about peers swapping homework and pretty much like grading, assessing each other?
I have had them do that before. I've had them do that. I don't do it often because sometimes, especially if they're not sure what the right answer is yet, and then they swap papers. But I tend to do more of that for essays, more longer pieces where they can look to make sure all the elements have been met.
Right.
But sometimes I will. Sometimes we'll swap quizzes and grade.
Sort of like getting an idea of something
else.
An
idea. So I do that occasionally, but not too often.
Okay, so you have a tip for me that I can take away from this?
I guess I would just say as you're examining each unit that you teach, really just consider, okay, where would homework best fit in, as opposed to I have to give homework every night. Just where does it best fit in? What won't I have time to, basically if you're, you don't want to have them you don't want them to teach themselves all the time, but if there's something that they could, extend, further at home, then think about it, or if there's something just to check for understanding, but just pick and choose your battles.
Great tip. Thanks.
No problem.